News from the East End now, and the jewel is back in the crown. A restoration project has brought new luster to the historic clock at St. Peter's Church, also known as Their Majesties Chapel. More in this report.
When it came time to restore the clock at Bermuda's most iconic church, there was really only one place to turn. Thwaites and Reed, one of the oldest clockmakers in the world, whose projects have included the great clock at Westminster Palace, better known as Big Ben. They made the clock that was purchased for St. Peter's nearly 200 years ago by church warden John Till, who became mayor of St. George's. Mervyn Lee is principal clockmaker and a director at Thwaites and Reed.
The type of clock is called a gravity birdcage. It's a very old design. This clock was made in 1814 and my company made it.
The clock resides in a dusty tower, and the Thwaites and Reed team has flown out here periodically to keep it ticking. Their latest mission saw a passing of the baton. Bermudians Ian Birch and Philip Anderson have been trained to maintain the timepiece.
We do 5-year apprenticeships, 7 years if you want to do domestic clocks. We've had 5 days.
And in such a short space of time, Mr. Lee says the two Bermudians have done brilliantly.
We've done a 1-week induction training course in order to spot problems, clean the clock, and maintain, keep it going.
For me, it's a bit personal. My dad, as I first started watchmaking, my dad always wanted me to be a part of this clock and repair this clock. As an avid St. Georgian historian that he was, so when I was asked to be a part of this, I was all hands forward.
This clock doesn't belong to any one person, it belongs to the entire town of St. George's, and to help keep that going for future generations is very pleasing.
There are no manuals for such an old clock, and maintenance requires meticulous craftsmanship. The mechanism is intricate, an engineering marvel.
What we have is a birdcage, gravity birdcage clock. On this side you have the mechanism which will drive the hands, and on this side you have the mechanism which will strike the bell. The connection is done by levers which go from this side to that side. At the back you can see paddles. They are in fact air brakes to regulate the speed at which the clock strikes the hour. Now on either side we have more modern equipment which is brought in to allow people to avoid winding up the barrels every single week. It's a 7-day clock, but these automatic winders have something called Huygens chains. They were invented in the 18th century and they have enormous longevity. We've installed them over 60 years ago, 70 years ago now, still working well. So we hope that this combination will enable this clock to work well for another 200 odd years.
A heavy pendulum regulates the clock's movement and timekeeping, its swing controlling the pace at which the gears and hands move. Alison Outerbridge reflects on the importance of the project.
It's not just about the church, it's about the whole town. And so when you think historically about what this clock meant to the town, it was before people had watches, it was before timepieces in general. People relied on the clock to be able to know what time of day it is. It was important for the Navy because the Navy used to set their watches before their clocks, I should say, before they left the harbor. And they used to do it off of St. Peter's Church clock. And this continues because the school children can hear the clock from their playground, so they know what time recess is, or even better, what time is when 3 o'clock comes around. So it's a community effort to have this thing restored and to maintain it because it belongs to the community. It's part of our heritage, and we want it to be here for another 200 years.
Like the hour hand, the story comes full circle. The London makers of the clock at St. Peter's, tasked with restoring it 2 centuries later, and presumably with the celestial approval of St. Peter, patron saint of clockmakers.
Restoration costs have been clocked at $80,000, and donors include the UNESCO World Heritage Site Fund, which is managed by the Corporation of St. George, the Department of Culture, Chubb Charitable Foundation, the Windward Trust, Kitson Family, the students of St. George's Prep, and Robinson's Drugstore. More news after the break. We'll be right back.